Hi, it's Ingrid from the Business Timing Calendar. And in this video, I want to share with you some case studies so that you can really see how astrology can be used in business and so you can see a little bit more about how the calendar actually works. So I have four stories for you today, four case studies. And each of them is going to show you how the astrology calendar works in different ways and how you can use astrology in your business. So the first, I'm going to share with you my screen, and I'm going to talk to you about a client of mine. So I had a client who was just starting a business and wanted to go to the bank and propose a partnership with the bank. And she reached out to me and she was already going to do this, but she was just asking me, was this a good day? Now, this particular client is very good at business, and she has an excellent sense of timing in terms of making money. And really, she was just asking me for reassurance. But a lot of us don't actually, we might get those feelings that this is a good time to do something, and we don't pay attention to it. And so this might be energy that you aren't naturally good at. And so the business timing calendar is going to be really helpful in helping you to identify, is this really a good time? Is there a better time? So she was going to the bank, and she was asking for a partnership, like I said, and she was proposing to them kind of something that would not really be in their best interest as a bank. It was an idea that to me seemed like, maybe you're competition. I don't really want to go into business with you or give you money. But she went on a really good day where the energy was really good, and she got total support. So I want to show you the astrology. I'm going to share with you my screen so that you can see it, and let you know a little bit what I'm looking at when I'm telling you there's a stellar magical day. So this was the day that she went. It was in March of 2015. And the day that she went, all day the moon was making these amazing aspects. So this is the moon, and this is Jupiter. So the moon and Jupiter were conjunct. So that's already great energy. Jupiter is a really great planet for expansion and for positivity and for money kind of deals in general. Then it was also, the moon was also making, this is a trine to Venus, Mars, and so this is Mars, this is Venus, and this is Uranus. So the most important one was to Venus, because Venus is the planet of relationships, but it's also the planet of money. It's a lot around our values. And when the moon is making a nice aspect to Venus, it spells good money. It spells success. When the moon is making a nice aspect to Mars, it sort of speaks to there being no obstacles, that you just have that energy to go forward, because Mars is the planet of ambition and moving forward and doing things. It's a doing kind of planet. And Uranus is an outer planet, and with a moon aspect to Uranus, it really speaks to unusual ideas. And so it was an unusual idea, and she had total support to it. This is called a grand trine. This big triangle here is a grand trine. And so not only is the moon making these nice aspects to Venus, Mars, and Uranus, but both of these guys are making nice aspects to Saturn. And Saturn brings in an energy, when it's in a nice aspect, of practicality, of groundedness, of really longevity in terms of a project. So she got that. She had this energy available to her. she used it, and she got the funding. So this is 3 years later, and that was the start of her business. Her business is really taken off. She has locations all across the world, and it's doing really well. And so this is one way that you can make sure that you're putting, when you're doing something, you're putting the right energy into it that's going to have a good outcome. So this was definitely a good outcome. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And so the next thing I'm going to tell you about, the next case study, is just about moon voided course. So moon voided course is not actually in your overview calendar. It's in the subscription calendar. But I just want to share with you how powerful it is. Moon voided course is when the moon is making no aspects to other planets. No major aspects to other planets. So it's kind of disengaged. And when the moon becomes disengaged, it doesn't really give energy to things. It basically, it's kind of like daydreaming. And what they say is during a moon voided course, nothing will come of things that you begin or start or put into place or launch or whatever. So it's an awful time to start anything new. It's an awful time to launch. It's an awful time to incorporate a business, but it's a great time for downtime. It's also, if you want to use it for business, a great time to do things that you want to amount to nothing. So that sounds strange, but there are some things that you may want to amount to nothing. And one of them, I'm going to share with you my own personal story. I had a legal case, and I really didn't want to go to court, but I was prepared to do so. But I strategically created a meeting with the lawyer. The first meeting I had with the lawyer was during a moon voided course. We talked about what was going on. And during that moon voided course, I gave him a retainer. I retained him. So I gave him some money to represent me. And I knew that the energy meant that it would amount to nothing, meaning that it probably wouldn't go to court, which was strategically what I wanted. I wanted something out of it, but I didn't want to go to court. I was prepared to do that, but was really hoping that I wouldn't have to. So what happened was it ended up that the party that I had a dispute with negotiated, they settled. I got a lot of money, a really good settlement. And that settlement included paying my legal fees. And I have done this with a number of clients, and it has always worked out. So it is one of the ways that you can use the void of course energy. Again, it's in the subscription calendar, not in your overview free calendar. But I wanted to share that as a case study of how you can use the energy of astrology. The third example I have for you is actually last year when I was getting into the next cycle of putting up the business timing calendar, and I wanted to hire somebody to help me with the marketing, to give it a little bit of polish, to put things together in a good way. I had some stuff in place, but it didn't flow in the way that I wanted to. So I reached out to a marketing person. Now, I had actually contacted her a year previously. We chatted. It didn't really go anywhere. I wasn't too clear on what I was doing. I'm not even really sure she understood what my business was about. And so it didn't go anywhere. But it just so happened to be a Mercury retrograde. And so it was a really useful energy for explaining to her how astrology works. So I explained to her that during a Mercury retrograde, it can be really frustrating. It has everything to do with communications, with travel. So travel can get all mixed up. Your car can break down. In terms of communication, things can get lost. You can, your computer can break down, things can get deleted on your computer. Just everything goes on the fritz, and it can be a time of of frustration. And you can spend hours trying to figure things out and watching everything just fizzle in front of you. And so when I told her this, she was like, holy crap, that just happened to me. And so during this Mercury retrograde, when I was speaking to her, she had a car breakdown, something got lost in a delivery, her phone was many of those things were happening for her. And so she was sold. She was like, yeah, wow, that energy is totally happening to me. But then I shared with her, well, this is actually our interaction was actually a good way to use the energy. So she is somebody that I had connected with before. And so Mercury retrograde is really a time where you're reviewing, you're reconnecting, you're redoing, and it's a re-time. Anything with a R-E in front of it is a good thing to do during a Mercury retrograde. So I was reviewing my site, I was reviewing my marketing, and I had met her a year previously. So I was reigniting a relationship, a marketing relationship that had started a year ago. So it was the right timing for everything. And in fact, every single piece of my marketing came together in a really quick way. She just went, do this, do this, do this. I did it. It was an amazing and productive time. And not only that, I wasn't the only client who reappeared for her. She had a number of clients reappear for her. And so it was really, it really drove home for her how you can actually use this energy and not try and push things forward and with new projects and get into that frustrating kind of energy. So that's the third case. The fourth case I want to share with you is that red flag energy. So on your free calendar, there are days that are in red. Those are red flag days. And those are days to avoid doing major things like launching or signing a contract or hiring and that kind of thing. I don't go into specifics about what each of those is about. I told you in general, this year it's a Neptune-Jupiter square, so that happens a couple of times. But there are also other red flag energies at play, but I've just marked them in red. But I want to give you a case of how that actually shows up in practice. So I had a client who had a business, and she was a sole proprietor for many, many years. And in that time, she did really well. So it came to a point where she wanted to incorporate. And when you incorporate, you're actually putting new energy. It's like getting married. It's like starting a brand new contract and a new energy. So the minute that you incorporate, you're infusing new energy into your business. And she did so on a day that had a red flag on it. And the red flag energy that it had was a Mars squaring Neptune. And when Mars squares Neptune, Mars is, it's a lot of things, but in her particular case, it was her employees. So it does represent your employees because it's the doing kind of energy in your company, and it's usually your employees or yourself that are doing things. But with that square to Neptune, what it did was she got lazy employees. She got employees where they just couldn't seem to follow directions. It was always confused, which is a Neptunian kind of energy. Laziness isn't necessarily, but it's just a dreamy quality. And dreamy quality isn't really what you want in an employee, because it just shows up as laziness. And so she had constant frustrations with her employees. And so it was an energy that she incorporated the day that she incorporated. And so it was something that was going to keep happening going forward. So it's kind of like this internal energy that she put into her company. But she didn't have that problem before she incorporated. She was actually quite surprised to find that out, that energy and incorporating on that day kind of caused that problem. So that's the way that red flag energy works. And those are that's the reason why I tell you to avoid them, and also to avoid the days before and after. In 2019, there just happens to be quite a few of cautionary days, or those pink days around the red flag days, because of slower moving planets. But in practice, that's how red flag energy can happen. So that's basically a couple of stories to show you in practice how astrology can happen or work in your business. And if you really want more details, and if you really want to know and plan and get into the specifics and plan for those downtimes and that kind of thing, you can subscribe to the Business Timing Calendar. And there's actually a little button there that you can press, and you can get some more information on that. But that's it for today, and we'll see you next time.